This is News 4 In Depth. Our kids are heading back to class. Are our schools ready? We dig deep into the state of buses, budgets, staffing, and security.
We do think it's important to have an armed person at each and every one of our campuses.
We go to the districts to address parent concerns.
We're not entirely happy with them, but they were willing to give them another chance.
News 4 In Depth. Back to school.
Good evening and welcome to News 4 San Antonio In Depth, our back to school edition. We're taking a deep dive into all things impacting students and parents as we head into a new school year.
We will also have today's top stories and a look at your full forecast.
But we begin with what's top of mind for parents: safety. I spent the last few weeks putting together safety measures taken by our local districts to give you peace of mind. Here's a small snapshot of what I learned. Northside's security measures include 100 fully licensed police officers, silent panic technology at all campuses, and random use of metal detectors and canines. Northeast ISD added some things that are new this school year, including an emergency response team to help during crisis situations. Any ISD also has armed police officers, surveillance cameras, key card access locks, an anonymous tip line, and a social media monitoring platform looking for keywords that could indicate a threat. To look for your district specifically, look for this story on school safety on our website, news4sa.com.
Meantime, a new system from the TEA's School Safety and Security Office is rolling its way into schools throughout the Lone Star State. That system was created to simplify safety checks in audits for Texas schools. It also facilitates direct communication from schools to the state level. TEA says the system will help cater to schools in a fast and effective manner.
Superintendent can go on their phone and close a school and say you have a train derailment. They can close one campus, they can close the entire district, and they can put their needs in that note section. That's one of the most important parts, that they're able to put their needs there.
The system has already been distributed to schools throughout Texas. Local districts have been learning the system in the past couple of weeks.
Ever since a new law required schools to have armed guards at every campus, there have been a number of districts asking for exemptions. Some say they don't have the budget for it. Others are dealing with a shortage of applicants. So we checked in with our area districts on their current plans and if any changes are in the works. HB 3 requires every Texas school to have an armed guard on campus, but it's not the case for all school districts. Some, like NISD, were approved for good cause exemptions, citing the need for additional money and availability of officers. And officials from Northeast ISD say these safety specialists are given specific training.
And we're doing all we can do as far as recruitment and doing the best we can to cover all of those schools, at least touching each school every day, walking the campuses, talking to administration, and making sure that our doors that should be secured are in fact secured, and recruiting.
We do think it's important to have an armed person at each and every one of our campuses. We already had them at our middle and high schools, so this will ensure that we have them at all of our elementary schools as well.
Both districts say they are actively recruiting for their openings. This week, the Texas House heard key testimony from Texas Education Agency Commissioner Mike Morath, who gave lawmakers some recommendations for next session. Morath says the state is increasing investments in school safety through the Texas Foundation School Program, or FSP, where most schools get their funding from. At least 2 local districts are taking a bold move to protect children. Medina Valley is adopting a school marshal program, allowing staff to get their marshal's license so they can carry a firearm on campus. The district's plan includes hiring a new staff member to fill the position. Earlier this year, South San Antonio ISD also voted to implement the program.
All right, districts around town are looking to fill vacancies that they're seeing in bus driver positions. If the vacancies can't be filled, districts like Northside and Northeast ISD will have to adjust their bus routes to serve students in the most efficient way possible.
Made a few changes to make sure our buses are as full as they could possibly be, because we are short on drivers. We may take one stop from one bus and move to another just to try to have 60 kids on one bus and only 40 on the other. We may take 10 kids off that bus.
And we're told Northeast ISD is looking to fill 30 positions and Northside ISD is attempting to fill 45 spots. When it comes to children's safety on school buses, one of the most important safety features, we're talking about seat belts. We did some digging to find out just how many districts have seat belts equipped on their buses. We're told only about 20% of Northside's current non-handicap route buses have seat belts installed. That number is slightly higher for any ISD, who told us about 31% of route buses have seat belts. Speaking of, any ISD buses also have a new safety feature as well. These smart tags provide real-time information to parents and the district's transportation team through a smartphone app. When a child gets on or perhaps off that bus, they'll scan their smart tag ID to ensure that they're on the right bus and getting off at the right spot. School districts also have another challenge, navigating around all of that road construction while trying to make sure that your kids get to school on time. Northside ISD is adjusting some bus routes in part to deal with the ongoing construction. Parents should know the plans before the end of this week.
We've had a lot of parents that are taking proactive approaches and contacting our department, just saying, hey, there's a big construction project happening through my neighborhood. These are the delays that we're experiencing. And then they pass that information on to us.
NISD is also starting a new app so that parents can stay up to date on when their student will be dropped off. We're told the district keeps in touch with TxDOT and Public Works to stay informed on all projects.
Nearly 45,000 students started class this week in San Antonio ISD. More than 10% are in new schools as part of the district's right-sizing plan.
We're not entirely happy with them, but we're willing to give them another chance because, yeah, we want our kids to have a public education.
The SAISD Board of Trustees voted to close 15 schools going into this school year. It's just one of many concerns with the district. SAISD closed all its campuses for several days after widespread heating system failures caused chilly temperatures in classrooms during the winter. 2 district leaders resigned following the closures.
My kids had so much anxiety with this round that I was really hoping, as Brenda mentioned, that they would honor our request to at least compromise.
Parents who live in Medina Valley are frustrated over those redrawn school lines. For some, it meant sending their kids to schools 20 minutes away from home. It's all because the district is one of the fastest growing in the state. School officials say redrawing school lines will most likely happen again in the future.
Well, the Texas House Education Committee discussing several topics this week, and at the top of that debate, school choice. The committee once again leaving the door open on school choice system, which would allot taxpayer money towards private education. During the hearing, nearly 198 pages of written testimony was submitted by people across the state, mainly teachers and parents expressing concerns and their dissenting opinions about vouchers. Now Texas lawmakers are looking outside of Texas for guidance while critics sound off.
Parents are the world's foremost experts on the needs of their children. When they are provided with more educational options, good things tend to follow.
This is about a privately funded distraction from the enormous educational debt that the state of Texas owes our children and their families.
On top of that, lawmakers went back and forth on other topics as well, including new state curriculum, which could be voted on by the State Board of Education to go into effect. They also discussed teacher certifications and early childhood literacy. Well, for the second year in a row, a Travis County judge has blocked the state from releasing its ratings of school districts and campuses. The temporary restraining order was issued the very same day that school districts filed a second lawsuit over the changes the state made to the metrics used to measure performance. The ratings that schools receive are based largely on how students do on annual standardized tests. Just last year, the state announced schools would need to meet stricter benchmarks for a good rating on the A through F scale. School districts argue that the state is moving too fast.
Out of sight, out of mind. That is the message when it comes to cell phones at some school districts across our region. A handful of districts are updating guidelines for students this year, including Pearsall, D'Hanis, and East Central. Many of the policies had not been updated in several years and were outdated by today's standards. The bottom line, phones must be turned off and not visible during school hours. We asked you, should students be allowed to have smartphones at school? Here are the results of our live poll. You can scan the code now. You can see a lot of people do not think students should be having their smartphones at school. 71% say no. Only 25% of you believe that students should be allowed to have their phones on them. The poll will be open for the rest of the week, so you can go now and let us know what you think.
We've got you covered when it comes to back to school coverage. Be sure to scan the QR code that you see right there on your screen to check out all of our stories, including those adorable first day of school pictures and a whole lot more on our News4@sa.com website. Well, as the summer temps continue to heat up, schools are making sure that kids are staying cool inside the classroom. Following multiple HVAC system failures from some districts last year, we reached out to see what was being done to prevent any issues this year. Several districts we spoke with say they double-checked all of their reports to ensure safety and comfort for its students.
For the ones who were turned to a higher set point and haven't been cooling as much as the others, we have run diagnostic tests on them. We have run them for an extended period of time, just really ensuring that they're ready to go.
Northside ISD officials tell us they are completing the installation of AC on all of its buses ahead of the first day of school. That's going to be next Monday. We also checked with SAISD. The district says they deployed portable AC units and are ready to move students within campus or other campuses if needed to make sure every classroom is cool. This is in response to the HVAC problems from last year when SAISD shut down all of its campuses last winter because of a district-wide heating failure, and they had similar issues with the AC this past spring.
5 years ago, we would get them every day. Now we get multiple every day.
A new law has upped the consequences for students caught with vapes. The News4i team has been covering it for you since the bill was introduced. We'll show you how many students are getting sent to alternative school for this offense and how districts are handling it tonight at 10.
Well, we are committed to making sure children are being taken care of when they are at school. That includes addressing issues impacting your school districts. If you have something that you'd like us to look into, be sure to call our Crisis in the Classroom tip line. Their number 210-366-1151, or you can send an email to classroom@news4sa.com.
Well, thank you for joining us for News 4 In Depth as our children head back to school.
To rewatch this newscast, be sure to head to news4sa.com. You can also find all of our in-depth newscasts on our YouTube channel. Just scan the QR code that you see right there. We've covered more than 30 issues that are important to you.